Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with Supersize Your Business. Are you using saving to supersize your business finances? Let's talk about it today. Today's topic, I talked about really long in the Be a Better You annual challenge, and a personal note as far as our personal finances and savings. But then I got to thinking it applies to our businesses just as much, if not more, because we usually have more resources that we can choose how we are going to allocate and spend them. So what the heck is savings? We're going to talk about these different topics throughout the course of this month as we focus on finances as part of this year's annual challenge. And I'm merging the topics and talking about them in both of my groups so that I can be more consistent and more streamlined in what it is that I do to be more efficient and more effective, because that's kind of one of my core values. So today we're talking about saving and the impact it has on our financial growth now, but as well as our financial growth in the future. And the first thing I'll share is the 4 different types of saving and the way we can save. And we'll talk about, I think, all of these over the rest of this month. Emergency fund, retirement savings, investments, real estate, we'll talk about them all. And then steps to build wealth through saving in our business. And I'll give a couple examples of that. And I'm just going to roll with it instead of looking at my notes, because I looked at my notes and I went almost 15 minutes, and I don't want to do that here because I know that we are all busy, especially on a Monday. Happens to be Monday today. So the 4 types of savings and the things we want to make sure that we're considering for our business especially. You know, we all have insurance, right? In case catastrophic things happen that are outside of our control. For the things that we can't insure, guess what? There's a whole lot of things. If you read your insurance policies, and most people don't, but I highly recommend that you do, or someone in your organization does, or you get nasty surprises like one of your delivery vehicles gets totaled and your insurance tries to say you don't have a backup vehicle, which is not true. That's why you need to know what's in those things. So we want to have, in addition to insurance and things like that, good business practices, an emergency fund. And as individuals, I learned early on in my career that it was imperative to have an emergency fund. I had a great job out of college and was making a lot of money, but I had some health challenges in that first job, and I was out of work. I had kidney surgery, which was really freaky, but I had to have kidney surgery, and I was out of work for like 6 weeks, and the company's like, yeah, we're not paying you. And I'm like, really? I'm on salary, but I'm not getting paid? Okay. I guess I didn't read my insurance very well. And luckily I had parents that could help me back then, or I would have been in trouble because I didn't have enough money coming in to take care of my monthly expenses the time that I was out of work, and I wasn't going to get paid for it because the Safety and Health and Safety Committee decided that, you know, they weren't going to pay me. I don't know. I guess I could have appealed it, but I was new and I didn't want to rock the boat in a company that I'd been at just a couple of years. So we want to have an emergency fund of not just for us personally, but for our business. What if something happens, like COVID pandemic, for example, and your business just gets shut down in one day and you've still got recurring bills that are required to be paid, right? Like your business loans or your, rent, if you're renting your facilities, etc. So you want to have an emergency fund of at least 3 to 6 months. And that is not really saving for the future, but it's saving to make sure that if anything happens in the future, we're covered. Retirement savings, and depending on the type of business you have, you may or may not provide that for your folks, your team members. But I highly recommend that you find a way to make that happen, because not only does it help them, but it helps you because there's business advantages to that. Investment accounts, and I guess we'll talk about, I'll talk about it here. Look at all of the businesses that you may not even realize the business that they're actually in, because they have so much in investments, for example, real estate, that they're actually a real estate company more than the thing that they're doing. And McDonald's is my favorite example of this, because McDonald's has thousands of properties all around the world, and some of the most valuable properties with a McDonald's on it, where the franchisees or corporate owns a restaurant, but the real value and the accumulating value of that business is in the form of real estate investment and savings, right? Investment accounts like brokerage accounts, real estate, stocks and bonds. A lot of our companies are our retirement, are our investment accounts, because we might not offer stocks and bonds to the public, but we have stocks and bonds in our organization, so we can use it to raise funds and do other things. And then there's real estate, like the McDonald's example. There's lots of different ways to save that gives us a better return than a traditional savings account. I've talked about that a little more on a personal note, because I don't even know what the interest rates are now for savings, like a traditional at your bank savings account, because they've been so low for so long, I quit even looking at it. That's like, this is where I keep my emergency fund because I need to have quick access to it, but everything else is invested in some other form because of the return and the ability to earn return. Real estate is my personal favorite because there's so many ways to build that, and obviously a lot of big companies, personal favorites that own property. So how do we build wealth through savings? Number one, we automate the process, right? Any excess funds, and we should have a rule for this in our organization, any excess cash is immediately invested in a higher earning, interest earning of some way, shape, or form type of account. It can be a quick access account, but it should be not just sitting in our bank account, not earning any money for us. Why? It's one of the most popular and one of the most effective and efficient ways to build wealth for our organization is through compound interest. Actually, if we can find a way to be a lender for certain things and charge interest on the money that we're lending that we're not using, that is an incredibly successful way to increase our wealth. It's why I like real estate. If you can be the banker, if you can fund projects and property for people to buy and be the bank, you can make, multiples of your initial investment through compound interest over the years, and provide for yourself and your business in the future. We want to live below our means. That means as a company, guess what? Same is true for us. Our organizations have to live within the confines of what we can make and produce. It's money and business is an exchange of value. So if we're not providing enough value for the way we've structured our business, we need to look at that and we need to make changes. Usually it's just we increase the value that we provide, right? We want to invest in income producing assets, which again, it's why McDonald's and so many other big companies actually have huge amounts of property. Think of Disney, how much property Disney has. And I don't know if that's a good example, but just in theme parks alone, they have a lot of property. They also have a ton of intellectual property and things like that, which is also another incredible investment. We're going to talk investments in a day in and of itself, though. Diversify your investments. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. I can say this with personal conviction. If you're around for the 2008-2009 real estate, I want to call it mush, because it was a mess. A lot of us had a whole lot of our eggs in the stock market basket. Well, if you lived back then, you know what happened to the stock market. And some of us literally lost millions of dollars, and you could watch your accounts if you were so brave. I chose not to watch. I watched a couple times in days and found that it just made my heart hurt, so I just stopped watching it. But literally watched mine and my ex-husband's entire retirement account get wiped out in about a year, and due to some mistakes made along the way, which I won't even assess blame for, that entire millions and millions of dollars got wiped out, which is, sad, but then you just rebuild. All right, so today, what are we going to do? We're going to look at our organization and say, are we utilizing our resources effectively? Do we have an emergency fund? Do we have investments? Do we have rules or guidelines or ways of processes for doing things when we have excess cash? Do we just spend it all on something frivolous, or are we saving a portion of it for our emergency fund, for future investments and opportunities? And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I think it's critical that we as businesses have buffers and we find ways to invest in R&D, research and development, in securing our future, in learning more and becoming a better version of our business, and things like that. So, curious, what are you doing for savings? Do you have all these bases covered? And if not, what could you do starting today to change that and make this a priority for your organization. Why? Because the financial health of our organizations is critical if we want to be around for the long term and if we want to provide what it is that we're trying to provide for not only those we love and care about, our families, the people that we work with, but also the people that we're here to serve. All right, have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.